is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. We got earnings season. It's here. We got we got a couple heavy ones last night. We got Meta, the most notable one. We got IBM. Then we get hit with some economical news today. But it's just another day in the stock market. Good morning to Anna. We got Bill. Good morning to Brian, Corey, Jason, J. Good morning, Joe, JT, Kevin, Lord, Lucian's in the house. Good morning to Marius. We got Miguel, Micus, Paul, Randy, Tim, Win is in the house. All my peeps in YouTube land. Good morning to all you guys. We got Richard Jet. All my lurkers in the background. That's okay. I still love you. Hit that like and subscribe button. We got a lot to break down today. Frank says, good morning. Good morning to you too, Frank. Let's go. Yeah, we got a lot going on. A lot going on in the market. So first we get hit with some earnings last night through Meta. That brings the market down. The market made an attempt to make some kind of recovery today. And then we got hit with both GDP and PCE as well today. So GDP came in a little bit lighter than expected, and then PCE was a miss as well. So markets took that to the bear side, and that throws the inflation conversation back in the mix, right, with all of the crucial earnings that are coming out as well. So we'll see. We still got Google today. We still got what do we got? Microsoft and Google today, and I think we got Snapchat after the bell too. We'll see if Snapchat wants to put its hat into the ring like it did about a year and a half ago, kind of move the market. I think doubtful on that one, but we'll see what happens. This market's obviously full of surprises. We got SPY not opening in a very good location whatsoever. So again, we're still kind of hanging into our last zone that we were looking at, somewhere right around that 494 zone. So we're still there. This VPOC has not been retested yet. Actually did technically on an inside day, but after the break, we could get that little bit of longer term bounce. So for today, 495.46 should be support. Realistically, I was kind of looking for this to hold though. So I was kind of looking for this 500, maybe 558 to hold. We had kind of a little scary breakdown. Market just on a dime flipped. We got a big rally at one point, started to just all over the place yesterday. Even some of the candles yesterday were just one big candle after another in opposite direction. It was wild. So we're still in that just high volatility zone, which is good, which is okay. But yeah, we're just still trying to figure out which did we go too high? Do we need more of a pullback? And again, like I said, the crazy thing is we could get a massive pullback and still be relatively bullish, which is very, very confusing for the markets and could prolong some of the chop. But again, until we start breaking down the 494 zone again, that's when I think we get really in trouble in the market in bullish directions and things head a little bit more bearish. Let's do a quick fib on this one, on this down move. I don't think we really even got to a pretty good bounce spot, I don't think, but move started here. Yeah, this is only about the 38% retracement. I guess if we want to make a case that let's see, we broke down, we bounced up. Maybe if we want to go to the top of this candle, that means we did bounce right off that 50% retracement yesterday. So depending on where you want to draw your little trend lines from or your Fibonacci's, maybe that was a good 50% and we roll, but heavy news based market. Heavy news based market. And then we got I think we have one more report tomorrow. Which one? Do we have unemployment tomorrow? We might have unemployment. I thought we had one more key data coming out tomorrow. But we'll see what happens. We gotta look for that one. Not a great location. I would expect a little bit of a mini bounce at open though. This is a pretty drastic sell. GDP was not that bad. I mean, it was a little bit lighter, and then PCE was a little bit more of a miss. So that's going to cause the inflation conversation, like I said, to come right back. But see if now we're using 517 as our first resistance. The one above that takes us to about 565. But I think we have a little bit of a challenge to move up higher today. And then who knows what happens again after the bell with Google coming out and Microsoft coming out to report earnings. We'll get to the Meta one I almost kind of wanted to jump to Meta there real quick, but we'll follow the routine here. We'll go to Qs. Qs is also gapping down underneath that last candle. This is still holding at a decent retest spot, so at least we have some support. Again, SPY looks like it's a little bit no man's land at this point. Not sure if SPY is going to, if SPY does continue down, that's probably going to drag Qs right through this 419.59, but that's where I got uh that's where I got the little support. Lucian says consumer sentiment tomorrow at 10. University of Michigan. I thought there was one at 8:30 too. There was something I thought at 8:30 tomorrow morning, but maybe I was thinking PCE, which actually came out today. But we have little support to hang out hopium hats on. We'll see if that wants to hold. If that starts to break down, the next real support I got is 415.82. That's going to be a major one for this market to want to hold, at least for the tech sector. Next spot down from there could take us to about 410.91, maybe a little bit lower than that, 405.60. So we have a little bit ways to go down if we're not holding those key levels anymore. And that was a little retrace and we break. But so far we're hanging in there. Not the end of the world yet. Bonds didn't like GDP whatsoever. You could see we were holding pretty decently flat, and then as soon as the GDP, and I would probably say more specifically the PCE, but as soon as that started to come out, those numbers at 8:30 today, we just the bonds did not like it one bit. So not a great open. It looks like continued weakness for the bonds, which is not good for the market. That typically means higher yields for bonds, which means you're gonna probably get a good little return on those bonds, and you got some safety behind it too, which the market, you got some volatility and close to all-time highs. So we'll see if that continues to break down. We got one little spot on this one, so 87.49. See if that holds. Still inside day, so maybe TLT wants to bounce. I do think this sell-off on the market is a little overextended for the report today. I don't. The 2 years over 5%. Yeah. Still struggling in bond land, but all right, let's go through Meta, and then if you guys got tickers, today we had GDP, and I think we also had the PCE today, but definitely GDP. Which I think they were expecting like a 2%, two point something percent. And they just missed, but let's go back to Meta real quick. They came in a little light, so growth was not as strong. You got Meta just getting absolutely crushed. They did have good earnings. It wasn't horrible. But again, we talked about this yesterday pre-market. We talked about Tesla the day before that as well, right? Tesla just they had the bar so low. They had to do something positive. Elon Musk came out as a cheerleader. You have the margins increased from 15% to I think it was 17.2%. So the market's like, okay, all right, we could get a little rally. I still don't know if that Tesla rally holds, but for after the earnings, okay, good pop. Meta, complete opposite story. So just off of all-time highs, their bar is set much higher. You do have the good earnings per share coming in. You have 39 cents, so we beat that by 9.02% on expectations. You got a $308 million beat, surprise to the upside on revenue. And a lot of people will look at those numbers and go, I don't get it. Right? Why? Oh, yeah, unemployment was just, yeah, that's right. But again, it comes down to, if I was to put my money into the market as an investor today, where's my return going to be for the next year, for the next 2 years, for the next, I mean, Lucian said that the 2-year treasury is over 5%. Do I think I'm going to be averaging 5% a year on Meta at all-time highs? What's the growth story? That's where Zuckerberg comes in and helps to clobber the stock down a little bit further. So the spending was up a lot on Meta. They forecasted some. I think they had some user interaction was also down too. So that's not a positive sign. So it's not giving you the feels that this is a continuously growing and the outlook is so bright and shiny for Meta. And again, it's not bad report. They're not going to zero. They're not going out of business. But if I'm a long-term investor or want to see where I can get the best returns, I got a bigger safety play going into the treasury, the 2-year treasury, get 5% a year. Not really worrying, sleeping good at night. Could care less what the next earnings report says on Meta. But if Meta gives me a good price, and okay, we make a fair deal. We'll make a good deal. You give me a good deal, I'll buy it. I've got nothing in terms of volume to really hold us up. We got the next little support spot, maybe 392, 23. The one after that, I got 371. After that, 353. And then we start to get into this bigger zone with the real key volume at 299. Do I think it gets there? I don't know. Maybe time. We probably have to sit through a couple more quarters, I would assume. I do have the 200 on a daily coming in. That's still pretty far away, 387. So we still got some more room to the downside. I got nothing really holding us up. Maybe some investors might be looking at this gap fill, which could come in about 402.56 and probably better yet, somewhere around 396.54. That's essentially where we just had the yeah, right around that first little pivot volume zone. Maybe we get some buying. There is that 3-day rule, right? If something's getting clobbered or something's heavy in the news, give it some time. Could we see a little relief bounce? Probably, but I would like to see a little bit more panic selling at open. There is definitely some bulls being burned in here. There are some bulls that got in on this gap up, going, okay, cool, let's get with Meta. That's a great gap. All of those guys from last earnings, they're now tanking on their positions, and you start to get that panic selling. So down pretty decent. That should, I think, weigh on the markets a little bit further. Let's go to IBM. They also reported earnings. Their earnings were good earnings per share. So surprise beat, 8 cents to the higher side, beat by 5.3%. Missed on the revenue side of portion of things. So at least Meta beat on that one, but IBM couldn't hold the fire. So they're down a little bit too. Same thing. Underneath that last previous earnings gap, also below prior to that earnings gap. We do have the 200 down here. See if this one wants a panic sell a little bit open. I would condition this one a little bit more likely for a bounce, I think, than Meta, quite honestly. But if we come down into, maybe you start getting into the 162.44, this thing starts to get a little more ugly, 160. Maybe not a horrible location to look to sell some puts. This is going to be a pretty major gap. All of this kind of looks like, I want to say island reversal, but Lucian maybe could correct me on this one. You have the sentiment of island reversal because you got a wide open gap here, wide open gap here. I think on a technical, the actual island reversal is less candles than that amount of time. I think it's usually like 3-4 candles, something like that. You could do it with one candle. This is a little stretched. I don't know, but I do think there's a spot for IBM to be bought up in these markets, and you're getting close at 200, where Meta probably has a little bit more room to the downside. Google has gap down below the last 3 bull candles. Yep, and then what you just said next is key. Google does have earnings after the bell today, so we'll have to see. I'm gonna be watching Snapchat too. I'll get to that one in a little bit for earnings potential play after the bell. But we got Google, so that one's gapping down. So that is a gap and go to the bear side. The one thing I will say for both Google and Meta, and again, Google is just off all-time highs as well. So you got that little bit of a bar to, you're gonna have to perform pretty well on this earnings report today to beat. It has been strong. Especially if we do sell today, it might be an opportunity where Meta has kind of, at least in a short-term basis, lowered the bar for Google and makes it a little bit easier for that beat to be decent. If they come out with a beat, if they come out with a miss, they're screwed. there's no two ways about it. The market's not being too kind to companies missing earnings. I mean, you just saw the IBM. So if they come in with a beat, though, they might hold up a little bit better than Meta did, because we're kind of getting down there based off of the Meta earnings a little bit. So we'll see on that one. The one I wanted to take a look at is Snapchat, because the report wasn't so bad. And again, Snap is not Meta. Completely different company. Everything not even close. But you do have some positivity just around the TikTok banning news. So Meta got a little boost off of it. Snap got a little boost off of it. So you still got that news in the cycle. You're getting a pretty decent gap down today. We sold off, I think, two something percent, 2.72 yesterday. We're down over 5% today. So the last 2 days we're down almost 8% between the 2 days, which is a pretty decent down move. I think the bar expectation is a lot lower. There's going to be pressure on Meta. This one probably comes down today. But again, the bar is low. Snap is notorious for making pretty good moves after earnings. Unfortunately, most of those moves are, I think the last earnings report we gapped down like 35%. But the revenue was still there on Meta. Like Meta still made money. And maybe that could leak into some other social media platforms. Maybe Snap could have a good quarter potentially. So just going out there, obviously, if this thing gaps down another 35% today, I'm not that's what's going to put a little bit of worry on me is like, man, they kind of still suck either way, no matter how you look at it. But uh they're lower, and we're gonna have Meta coming in with the same, putting the bad expectations on it, but that ultimately lowers the bar for something like Snapchat. So I'm considering doing something, but I won't do it at the open. I'll be waiting until probably later in the day today. But that is definitely one I might be playing, and it might be in forms of just selling some puts. I gotta see what the premiums are on them, but maybe I'll sell some puts down there. If I'm feeling a little bit more brave, maybe I'll buy a couple calls just in case. But I might be making some plays around Snap today just in case. Fully expecting to probably take a loss on it, but I think it's a good shot. Just with the report wasn't horrible for Meta. It was just not what the market wanted. RCL cruising up, and then I saw a couple other tickers too. So we'll get to those as well. UNP, AAL. Yeah, AAL's doing decent as well, but Royal Caribbean, they came out, they pretty much crushed earnings. So $38 million surprise beat to the higher side. So they reported about a $3.72 billion quarter. Fantastic. They got a surprise beat, 43 cents to the higher side, almost 44 cents earnings per share to the higher side by 32%. Again, absolutely fantastic. They used to have dividends, and they might still have way too much debt to bring them back, but I don't think they do anymore. Let me see. RCL dividends. Yeah, so they don't have dividends currently. September 2018. They haven't brought them back since COVID, but they used to have some divvies. I think out of all the cruise ships, probably RCL is the first one to kind of go back into the divvy land, and that would be a positive, bullish pop for them as well. Day trade basis, I mean, we did have 1, 2, 3, 4, if you want to count that one, but if you do, that's 4 bullish days in a row on RCL. So you definitely have some buyers in there. There might be targeting kind of the top of this pivot. If this one somehow magically and majestically starts to open anywhere past 140, I think we got a good shot for the upside. Otherwise, I think we're probably opening into this little resistance, get some kind of a pullback. But travel's been good. AAL is a good example of that one. So that one also nice little gap up. I kind of like this one a little bit better for day trade purpose than RCL, just because it is a gap and go. It's not a retest gap. So if I'm going to go bullish on something, maybe is today the day to go bullish on anything. Cautiously, I guess, if you want to try it. Otherwise, you do have some resistance at $14.37. Next little target up from there is $14.54. We should be holding very good support, probably about $13.97. So again, maybe we get some kind of a sell. $13.97 is good. This is also a decent level too, not too far away. So $14.12, but at least it's kind of hanging in there. Earnings on this one, it looks like a miss actually. So they actually missed 7 cents earnings per share. They actually missed on 33 million. Did they guide up? Was there good positive guidance on this one? There had to be some kind of guidance on this one because the earnings didn't look that great for a gap and go. It's not a massive gap. Again, if this was gapping anywhere above like 14.57, I think we have plenty of room. but you might get a little chop zone in here. UAL. So that one's gapping down a little bit on United. Not really much to save us. In fact, we have a resistance right above us. This is a retest gap at the bottom. See if this one gets bought up first, and then probably looking for some kind of a short. Somewhere I would say around 52.76. So closer you get to that point would be your better risk reward for a short side. Otherwise, target on this one would be about 51.50. Let's take a look at UMP. UMP, that's a good gap. Kind of like that one. Beat earnings per share by 18 cents, so 7.29%. They beat by $56 million. Surprise upbeat. You did have good volume. I'll attribute most of that volume probably to the earnings. I don't know if I want to be the first bull in this one. See if we get a little pullback into probably somewhere around 237.32 would be an interesting spot to first look. So a little bit of a pullback, small pullback would be great. If we could get into like 236.37, that would be a much better spot to try it. Otherwise, you got a good looking hammer yesterday right off the 200. Nice little double bottom. Definitely not at all-time highs. We got a lot of room to get back up there, 256. So it's got some range on it. And then for day trade purpose today, we could get to, if we get the bulls starting to relief rally somewhere, 240.64. Let's get this one a little bit higher. Put this one a little bit more in the premier spot. But I would like to see a little pullback. Probably a decent high wave candle out of the gate too would be nice. All right, we got GDP less than expected. Correct, yeah. Yeah, it came in at 1.6. I think it was expected to be 2%. So it is that would be positive for rate cuts. The unemployment also kind of came in at a miss as well, and that could signify a little bit of stagflation. So I think that might be how the market's kind of interpreting it. But even if you saw the if you saw the 8:30 a.m. print, right as soon as the GDP came out, you did have a pretty decent bullish pop. And then I think we got hit with the unemployment numbers, and then we just kind of started to sell off on that. So um yeah, I think I don't think we're there yet, but I think we started hearing stagflation a little bit more. But we'll see. We'll see how that one wants to play out. And then again, also into the heart of earnings season, which we're already kind of down on the meta, down and out. Right. So this is yeah, good gap down. Obviously, it's got a pretty good high short float. I got one level of support right where we're at now, $11.08, and then $10.88. I believe Bitcoin is down too, though. BTC, USD. So, and we've had a bunch of strong days on Riot already. So, Bitcoin, the biddies at 63,174. You're at a little bit of support on this one. We'll see if this wants to hold. Otherwise, the next spot down for Bitcoin, where we might get some buyers, is 61,149. However, this is really the retest from here. So I don't really want that one to retest. I think if we're getting down there again, it's more likely to break. And then you're probably looking for Bitcoin around 57,119. So could have a little bit of a downward trend on this one if we start to kind of break under there. But for right now, we are holding roughly probably about a 50% retracement off that last move. So could be some interesting bulls in here, which would be fine to see. But on the Riot, I don't think I would touch it yet. That is a bearish gap and go. So probably playing it more to the short side, but it has a couple good levels on it as well. Amazon getting clapzilla. This is earnings on Tuesday, last day of the month. This is a retest gap. We are opening at a little bit of support. I'm actually going to throw this one up. If I'm going to try to fade something, this might be a decent looking fade. See if we could hold that support. If we want to bounce really quickly and an immediate pop off of like 168.14, I'll take that too. But could be a interesting looking fade. I'd probably want to be, and even if I fade this one, it's going to be a 1.2. Probably not going to be trying to get too crazy. Amazon gap below every candle on the daily since February 24th. Yep, into the support down here though, with earnings coming out. So you might have some people still like, hey, I can get it at 169. I can get it at 168 ahead of earnings. If they beat, great, good upside. But somewhere in this zone, I would like to see it hold before earnings would make sense. And then if Google comes out, especially if they mention anything cloud wise or AI wise, probably cloud's going to affect Amazon more than AI, I think. But tomorrow, the earnings season gets crazy. So we could have one day where the world is ending, and then Google comes out or Microsoft comes out tonight. They report great stuff, and then the whole tech sector's up again. It gets wild. It gets wild. But you do have some support down here. That is a retest gap. You also had a lot of selling into this gap as well. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. I don't know. I mean, I don't think we get back to 175.29, but maybe we get like, bullish move. We get to like 173, gives me a little bit of an upside. So playing it maybe on a 3-minute smaller candle, smaller time frame could make some sense. Santilla says VIX must go up. That word must is very interesting in the stock market. This has to happen. If it doesn't happen, the market is broken. It's manipulated. But yeah, I would assume the VIX should be a little bit heavier today. I would assume. So probably get a good pop on VIX. I would expect today too. We got Disney, so that's gapping down. So we're at 111.60. This is a gap and go. This one looks like a decent gap and go to the bear side. I do have some support right in front of me, which would be 111.23. And then you got 110.43. This earnings, so earnings comes out May 7th on this one. This is going to be an interesting one because they are in the entertainment business or in the travel business. They got the cruise ships. RCL just came out with a good report. I think Airbnb is still kind of hanging in there. Expedia, I think, is also kind of just, it's not collapsing. So they got the entertainment, they got the destination, they got the travel. So the sector itself that it's in, not bad. Netflix obviously not going to help them in terms of Disney Plus, but that's going to be an interesting earnings. Otherwise, this is a pretty bearish gap and go. I do have one little level of support, which we just got underneath that now. So now target is probably about down to 10.37, but that's the opening bell. I wouldn't mind if Disney gets a pop to like 112.14, better spot to short. Everybody on YouTube land, you guys are incredible. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Unfortunately, though, I got to